What's up, all you nerds? My name's Leslie Smith. Welcome to the Nerdy Narrative. I like reading things, fantasy, sci-fi, horror, and manga, a little nonfiction. Oh, ring that bell, comment, like, subscribe. If you want to share it with your friends, that would be great. Hey! So in today's episode of Bookish Related Fun, I am going to show you all the books that I have acquired in the month of December. I have 5 stacks of books here, but only 1 stack is what I purchased with my book budget. The rest were given to me by Lizzie, who is my bookseller at Copperfish Books. So before you freak out and think, oh my gosh, this girl is just buying books like a crazy person. I am a crazy person, but I didn't buy all of these and just blow an exorbitant amount of money. I will actually start with all of the stuff that I bought on my Kindle. I got quite a list of titles on my Kindle because of just really good sales going on. I picked up Rhythm of War on the Kindle because there's just no way I was going to carry that big old honking book all around with me. And I knew I would be reading it for a while, and just having the mobility of the Kindle just really helped. I got the Powder Mage trilogy by Brian McClellan. It was on sale for $9.99 one day, and my friend Tyler put that in Discord, so I was able to snatch that up. I knew that the first one was the Shelf Space Book Club pick for December, so I needed it, and getting all 3 books for $9.99, I couldn't say no to that. For free, I picked up Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, A Crash of Fate. One day I saw on Facebook Disney was offering this title for free in Kindle format. It is, I believe, a middle grade Star Wars book. No idea about anything else related to it. I just saw Star Wars and free and clicked download. And then I feel like everybody picked up this series, but Will White had all of his books that were currently out in his series for free on Kindle. The next book in the series, which may be the final book in the series, is going to be released very soon, and he decided to put all of the other books on Kindle for free. Q&TG mentioned that this was a really good series, so that told me all I needed to know. Q&TG liked it, it was free, I'm in. Another one that I got on sale was 9 Fox Gambit. This is one that Angela from Literature Science Alliance has been gushing over. What I learned after reading The Sword of Kaigan and how much Angela loved that one, anytime Angela reacts to a book like she did to those 2, I need to read them as fast as possible. She loved 9 Fox Gambit. She's also read the second one in its series. I haven't picked that one up yet. I wanted to wait and read 9 Fox Gambit first. But the cover is so gorgeous that if I like it, I'm going to have it in my collection. And since I wanted to wait and purchase it after reading it to see if I liked it, then I can just go ahead and pick up the second one then as well. So another sale that Tyler turns me on to is Prince of Thorns by Mark Lawrence. Haven't read anything by him, and so when this one popped on sale, I'm like, well, here's a really good opportunity to pick up something by this author and check him out and see if it's one that I'll like. I have been warned how it starts, so I am aware, I am prepared, I got this. The next one I picked up is the Haunted Forest Tour. One of my subscribers, F, has been talking about this book. She said it was fantastic and it was just a really good read. And she's another one that if she really likes a book, I sit up and take notice because she is very particular about her books. And when she likes a book and says it's a 5-star read, then it is a must read for me. So I have that one on my list to get to. And then the final ebook I picked up is by my bestest friend, Andrew J. Stillman. It is his first book, Immortality Awaits. If y'all have not discovered Andrew's channel, I will have him linked below. Please give him a watch. He is a booktuber, but he's also an author, and his author content is what I was exposed to first. How I met him first was as an author. I had a really fun time following his NaNoWriMo journey and read the book that he wrote as he wrote it then. So I want to read his first one. He does not have a very high opinion of it. He wants to rework it a bit. So a bunch of us in Shelf Space picked it up for fun to read together. So that's another one I'm looking forward to reading. And then the final book that I picked up on my Kindle is The Butcher of Anderson Station. It's a little novelette that's part of the Expanse series, and it is nestled between the first book, Leviathan Waits, and the second book of the series. And so I'm planning to read that one next and then continue the series. I wasn't kidding when I said I had 5 stacks. So I'm just going to go through them fairly quickly, because if not, I'll be here for hours and hours. The stack I'm going to start with is the stack that I actually purchased with my own money. And so the first one, I got my pre-order for Ready Player 2 by Ernest Cline. I still haven't read Ready Player 1 yet. So I've got to get that one knocked out so I can move on to this one. This is the best smelling book of this bunch. I picked up The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I have heard so much about this book this year, and when I recently went to Copperfish for the first time to shop in person, I had to buy one book. I needed at least one book that I bought and picked physically while in the store, and this one was one I chose. Why did it get chosen? The flop, y'all. Man, this book just feels so nice and cozy and comfortable in my hands, and plus it smells divine. Yep, you can't beat that. The next one I picked up is Arm of the Sphinx by Josiah Bancroft, and it is the second book in the Semlin Ascend series that I am reading based off the recommendation of Alan from the Library of Alexandria. I absolutely love these most beautiful covers. They're so interesting and intriguing. I am looking forward to this journey so much. No scent. Do you have a smell? You have a very faint smell. Not enough to count. The next book that I picked up might be a little recognizable. I got Peace and Turmoil by our very own Elliot Brooks. Elliot Brooks is a fellow YouTuber, and I am sure if you're watching my channel, you are subscribed to her or have watched her before. She's also one of the 4 main ladies that run the World Hoppers channel. I just had to read it. Whenever one of your friends or someone you admire that's in your field does something, you gotta support them. You gotta support them. I am very much excited to read this and see what I think. It does have a 1 on it, so it's going to be a series, which is even better. I am a serial reader. I love series. I just love these characters. I form attachments to them and the worlds that they live in, and I will stay in that world just as long as the books keep coming out. So I'm very excited to read this one, and I think I'm going to try and buddy read it with Alan from the Library of Alexandria. And next up, Gardens of the Moon by Steven Erikson. This is book 1 of the Malazan journey that I will be starting with Mike's book reviews in January. I am looking forward into delving into this series for the first time. So many people have, I almost feel like the majority of people that I have told that I was going to read this have tried to talk me out of it. Like, they kind of made me feel like I wasn't maybe intelligent enough to be able to understand what's going on. Several people told me you don't really understand what you've read until you read it the second time, which is fine by me. My collection, I reread all the time. I almost constantly have a reread going. When I invest in a book, I invest in it for life, and I don't mind rereading. And I love that when I reread, I pick up something the second time that I didn't pick up the first time. Being told that doesn't scare me off. I'm really excited to start this journey. So many of my friends really love and enjoy this series. You know, the Library of Alexandria, Philip Chase, Andy Smith, they have all just had some really wonderful things to say about this series. So I can't wait. So the very next one I picked up is Long Grief by Daniel Barnett. If that name sounds familiar, it is because you have heard about him so many times on this channel. He is the author of the Nightmareland Chronicles. So many of you have picked up because I have just been gushing about it, and you all have loved it, and we've had so much fun talking about it. I don't know how I missed that Daniel had other books, but I saw his author spotlight on Dark Between Pages, which I'll have linked below, where Nikki interviewed him and he was talking about some of his other books. Longrieve sounded really, really intriguing to me, so I picked that up to be reading very soon. And then I picked up Over the Woodward Wall by A. Deborah Baker, which is a pen name for Shauna Maguire. I had to have this book. When I was buddy reading Middle Game with my patrons a few months ago, there were excerpts at the beginning of some of the chapters that are from this little book that just came out in October, I believe it was. And I just got so interested in the story from the excerpts that I was like, man, I would love to read that. And then in preparation for the channel-wide buddy read that I had going on for the month of December, I picked up the 40th anniversary edition of Dune by Frank Herbert. This book is absolutely gorgeous. I love that the indentation on the front cover says "Fear is the mind killer." I love that the inside jacket has some beautiful art inside of it. And I've started reading this one, as you can see by the bookmark. Absolutely have enjoyed this journey so far. This is a fantastic piece of science fiction. And then the final book I purchased is Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn. It is the original Thrawn trilogy book. It is also the 20th anniversary edition, which I had to have. I love the dust jacket. The dust jacket is so very, very cool. But what is even cooler, Brad Proctor was telling me this was what the paperback looked like. I mean, this is so gorgeous. I don't want to put the dust jacket back on it because, man, that's beautiful. It's also annotated by Timothy Zahn. So for me, being new to reading Star Wars and being new to Thrawn, I am going to find that very, very, very helpful. So those are all the books that I purchased with my own money. The next 3 stacks are books that my bookseller Lizzie from Copperfish Books, if you're in my Discord, you know her very well. I recently went to visit Copperfish in person. It's about 2.5 to 3 hours away from me, so this was my first time to visit in person. And of course, I planned with Lizzie to make sure she was going to be there because I had to meet her. And she brought me 2 huge shopping bags full of books from her own shelves to share with me. And I will not lie to you, most of these I know absolutely nothing about, so I can't tell you anything, but I can show you the book, tell you the title and the author. So the first one is A Shilling for Candles by Josephine Tay, or T, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. The cover looks really cool and interesting, so we'll have to see what that's about. Next up, I cannot say that word out loud. The Mammoth Book of that. A collection of new weird fiction inspired by H.P. Lovecraft. I have not read any Lovecraft. I've read some other works that were compared to Lovecraft. So I'll enjoy those. I fully expect to enjoy this little collection as well. So this one may also be a little mystery. It's called The Fourth Island by Sarah Tolmie. I do not know. Let's see. Next up we have Gloom Stories by Ricky Olson. This looks like it is an independent author's debut collection of stories, which I am all about that. I've recently gotten into indie author short stories. So yeah, this one definitely has a home here. Next up, we've got a historical fiction about witches, which I am all about that. I'll read anything about witches. The Factory Witches of Lowell by C.S. Malerich. I may be saying these names wrong, so sorry. I'm not familiar with these authors, which has me excited because I may be discovering some new favorite authors in 2021, you guys. So the next ones are part of a series. It's book 1 and 3, Tales of the Otori, Across the Nightingale Floor, and Brilliance of the Moon by Leanne Hearn. So those look pretty cool. A beautiful, haunting evocation of medieval Japan. I am all about that. The cover art isn't the best in the world. I'm not gonna lie to you about that, but the premise is right up my alley. So this one looks like another historical fiction novel. It is The Frozen Hours by Jeff Shara, a novel of the Korean War. I love when you take history, real history, true history, interweave it with a little bit of fiction, and make me a really great story so I am entertained while I am learning some true history. So yes, very excited about that one. Okay, so the next one looks like a murder mystery, Dead Lies Dreaming by Charles Stross. So it looks like this one's a little bit of a mystery and horror mixed together. Very much excited to see what I can find in this one. So this little blurb says, imagine a world where gnarly Lovecraftian demons are all too real, yet are routinely neutralized with high-tech wizardry by a super secret British spy agency, and you'll get an inkling of the genre-bending territory Strauss explores in his Laundry Files novels. Wait, what? There are more? I bet I'm going to be picking up this whole series. That just sounds really good. This one is an historical romance, Luciana by Beatrice Small. I've never heard of Beatrice Small, but I don't read a whole lot of historical romance. That is not to say that I won't read it, because I used to be obsessed with it, especially in my 20s. For some reason, I went through a phase where I was reading historical romance. I was on a desert planet, dehydrated, and they were water. So this looks like it'll be a great little palate cleanser between some of my chunkers. Oh man, this one says Orphan Black meets the post-apocalyptic Avengers. I am 100% interested just off that sentence, because Ev, who is one of my patrons in my Discord, she loves the Orphan Black series, and I have that on my list to read. But this one is by Kit Rocha or Roche. It's called Deal with the Devil. This one just got moved way up on my list of priority in this stack just off of that blurb alone. So looking at the cover, this is The Summer House by Laura K. Denton. It looks like a little inspirational, feel-good, cozy read. I'm not sure what kind of book that it is, but this person says that it exudes so much southern charm that the scent of magnolias practically wafts from the pages. That is a lie, and I will just have to see if I agree with that blurb, because I am a southern magnolia myself. I am a Mississippi girl born and raised, so we're just gonna have to see if that's the truth. Oh gosh, this one says Some Stories Refuse to Die. The remaking by Clay McLeod Chapman. That is a really cool cover. The back says, in the 1930s, a mother and daughter are buried at the stake as witches. Let's see. Their story inspires an urban legend told around a campfire in the 50s, a 70s horror flick, a 90s meta remake, and a true crime podcast. But all this storytelling comes with a cost. Man, they know just what to put on these to make me want to read them. And then this one, Cheshire Crossing. Andy Weir and Sarah Anders. This is a little graphic novel that I was hearing about from Stephanie at Miss Richards Reads. I'm so stoked to read this. Lizzie really enjoyed it too, so I am very excited to check this out and read it for myself. This is one some of my friends have read. I'm actually familiar with it, so I am so excited to read this one. I have The Mountain's Call by Caitlin Brennan. This looks to be a little fantasy novel. I have The Queen of Blood by Sarah Beth Durst, which is book 1 of the Queens of Renthia. Looks like another little fantasy novel. Then I have The Traitor Queen by Trudy Canavan. Looks like another really good fantasy novel. And then this one looks to be science fiction, Proxima by Stephen Baxter, first in the series. Definitely science fiction. And then the last ones look like some romance. Got a couple of Harlequin romances here. Man, I used to read like one of these a day back in high school. Then Stephanie London, The Aussie Next Door. Australians are so sexy. And then the final one of that little stack is by Abigail Owen, The Rogue King. So yeah, that looks appetizing. I'll give it a shot. Why not? So the following books that I'm going to show you are arcs that Lizzie received for review, which she's already read. She's already submitted her written reviews for. So she wanted to pass them on to a good home. So these last 2 stack of books were not paid for by me. No money exchanged hands. We did not trade for them or anything like that. They were just a gift from her to me. Literally just gifts between 2 excited readers of the science fiction fantasy genres. First up, Paris is Always a Good Idea by Jen McKinley. This just looks like a fun little romance novel, a really great palette cleansers between some of my fantasy and science fiction chunkers. So this one looks really cute. Can't go wrong with a graphic novel. This one is called Primer, a Superhero graphic novel by Jennifer Murrow, Thomas Krzyzewski, and Gretel Lusky. I love graphic novels, and this one is in black and white and some color, so I'm looking forward to trying that one out. I'm really excited about this arc. It's 12 Halloween Murders by Anthony Horowitz. Now, there is another book that he wrote that I believe comes before this one, according to Lizzie, so I'm going to get my hands on that one and read it first. But look at that. That's some great flop for an arc. They're usually bound so tightly that they're difficult to read. So I'm excited to get into this one. Lizzie loved it. So this one looks like a little science fiction novel, The Seep by Channa Porter. I have not heard of Channa or Shanna, however she says it. It looks like it's a little bit of a sci-fi, so I will have to definitely check that one out. We have The Expert Systems Champion by Adrian Yep. Can't say that at all. I am going to go out on a limb, and judging by the cover, this looks like a little science fiction novel as well. I love having a selection of these little shorter books to use as palette cleansers. Let's see. Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. This looks like a cute little romance. Yep. Says it's a romantic comedy set in the world of fan fiction. That should be a really fun time. So let's see. This is by Alicia Ray. First Comes Like. That looks like a cute little maybe rom-com around social media. So that should be a fun little read. Oh, I like this title. Bookish and the Beast by Ashley Poston or Poston. I like that title. I'll read that title just because of the name. And I'm guessing the Beast is the little pup down here doing his little paw up. Yep, I would have read it just because it had a dog on the cover. I'm not going to lie to you. Oh man, this looks like a cute little winter read. Storm Song by C.L. Polk. That looks cute. We got some looks like a little horse-drawn sleigh on some cracked ice. So this looks like it's going to be a little supernatural romance, which I'm down for. It's got witches and romance. I'm game for that. Oh my gosh! Angela from Literature Science Alliance just put up a really great review about this book, Each of Us a Desert by Mark Oshiro. She loved this book so much. Okay, this one, you're going over here in this pile because you're getting priority. Anytime Angela from Literature Science Alliance gushes about a book, it gets moved up. I learned my lesson when I listened to her gush about Sword of Kaigan, and then I waited 6 months to read it, and now I'm kicking myself. I could have enjoyed it that much faster. Let's see. Next up, we have The Black Flamingo by Dean Ada, a fierce coming-of-age verse novel about identity and the power of drag. So this looks like poetry, which isn't something I choose to read very often. Brad Proctor's been trying to incorporate some poetry in his reading life, so you know what? Why not? Why not? Why don't I join him? Let's do it. Next up, I have Not Like the Movies by Carrie Renfrey. I have no idea. So this one looks like another little cozy romance novel. This one looks like another little romance by Susan Wiggs, The Lost and Found Bookshop. Y'all, we got a bookshop involved in this arc. I am down for that. Ooh, best-selling author of the Artemis Fowl series, Eowyn Cofer. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I haven't read Artemis Fowl yet. I want to. This one is called High Fire. So this one is a hilarious high-octane adult novel about a vodka-drinking, flash dance-loving dragon who lives an isolated life in the bayous of Louisiana, and the adventures that ensue when he crosses paths with a 15-year-old troublemaker on the run from a crooked sheriff. I have to read this one sooner rather than later. That sounds phenomenal. And then I have this one, definitely science fiction. Dude is either in a hazmat suit or some kind of space suit. It's got a blurb from Blake Crouch, who I love. That's one of my favorite science fiction writers. This is by David Cope. Cold Storage. I am so in for that one. So the last stack of ARCs are books and authors that I have heard of and that I am super excited about reading. The first one is Only the Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. This one has been on my wish list for forever. I am so excited to have this. I'm actually reading it in the month of January. I cannot wait. I've heard so many good things about it. So earlier this year, Blizzard put out its first book in the Overwatch series. It's a middle grade kind of teenage series about the characters that are in the game, and I love to play that game. But the first book was about Orisa, and it was written by Nikki Drayden. So you can imagine how excited I was to see that I got the arc for Escaping Exodus by Nikki Drayden. I loved the book that she wrote, and she has another one that I believe is called The Prey of Gods. I need to get my hands on that. She always has the most beautiful book covers. I mean, I loved reading her book that she wrote for Overwatch. I can't wait to read this one. And holy smokes, that is just absolutely beautiful. So next up, I got Fable by Adrienne Young, another book that I have been eyeballing and wanting to read, so I cannot wait to get into this one. So the next one is The Bard's Blade by Brian Anderson. I have heard so much about this. This is one that I also believe that Elliot Brooks and Jessie May were talking about buddy reading in 2021. So getting my hands on the arc was just fantastic. I hollered so loud when I pulled this one out. A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne Brown. I've heard so many good things about this book. I have been wanting to read it ever since it was released. The cover is beautiful. I'm so excited about it. I love the premise. And it's like once I started hollering at this point, I kept hollering. No Fat Gloss. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but I am really stoked to get my hands on this one. I remember when Lizzie read it, she loved it. I'm gonna have Lizzie's blog linked below. She writes reviews in a blog, and I'm sure she would love for y'all to take a look at the books that she's written her reviews for and maybe follow her blog and give her some encouragement. But yeah, she loved it, and I am stoked to read that one. The Bone Shard Daughter, Andrea Stewart. Another one. I have heard nothing but people rave over this book. I want to say recently, Abby from Abby Salter read this and was just head over heels for it. And when I pulled this out of the bag, good Lord, I mean, you talking about squealing. And then The Age of Witches by Louisa Morgan. I love anything to do with witches. I don't care how many books people write about witches. I will still read every one of them. That is just not a trope that I'll ever get tired of. This one sounds amazing. I can't wait to read this one. And then the final book of this huge haul is When You See Me by Lisa Gardner. I've heard a few people that have read this that really, really enjoyed it. So I am trying to incorporate more thriller-based books, and this will be one of them that I am looking forward to. Guys, I've had you here long enough talking about all these books. Lizzie hooked me up. I should not be running out of anything to read for quite a long time. In fact, I mean, I pretty much have a TBR that's gonna last me through 2022, but you know, that doesn't mean I'm gonna stop buying books with my monthly book budget. It just means I'm gonna be buying collector's editions. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you soon.